Hi everyone, thank you for being here. So the title of my talk is The Armor We Don't Need, Finding Strength in Softness. Um, I'm just really thankful to see a lot of familiar faces here, like it's a great crowd as well to see here. I think the theme resonates deeply with all of us. That's why we all showed up here. So I just want this to be a very smooth conversation, and I will be speaking as well about my personal life. So hi, I'm Tanja, as you already know. I'm half German, half Filipino. I spent almost 9 years of, experience in HR, so I deal a lot with people. I hire them, I guide them in their workplaces. Sometimes I have to also, unfortunately, let people go. It's part of my job. And yeah, so with this talk, I just really want to explore more about what it takes to being soft. Because, as you already know, being exposed to HR means a lot of complexity, a lot of toughness, right? So we will talk about that. Yeah. In this world, we celebrate being tough. Like, you should be hard on yourself. Like, here you can see, we would always hear, yeah, you have to be strong, don't cry, keep it together, push it through. It feels like the world celebrates toughness too much. Now I question that, like ever since I've gone through my life, my career, I question that every single day. Is it really necessary for us to be tough? So what if what we're chasing for, the idea of being tough, being hard on ourselves and having this image of being super hard, super proper, super composed, what if this is actually stopping us from living our lives fully, right? So this is me when before life required me to be strong. I would say around about 5 years old or something. This is me when strength became my role, right? Now I'm going to speak a little bit about my personal life. This kid looks super strong, right? Like, I would call this pose as the founder pose because I work a lot with startups. Um, this is typically the pose of the founders, right? Super strong, right? So I found this photo and I was like, wow, this is when life hit me, and I was like, yeah, I'm taking care of myself very well. I was a caretaker at an early age. So unfortunately, my parents split when I was young. I'm half German, half Filipino, as I mentioned before. So it's a lot of like traveling in between. My father somewhere else. My mom is in the Philippines. And yeah, she unfortunately had cancer. So when I was around 13 years old, I was told that she has stage 4 cancer. And for me, it was like, oh, okay. I was a kid. She's just gonna take medicine and it's gonna solve the problem, right? Like everything's fine. But I was in the Philippines. So the culture in the Philippines is you're the eldest daughter, you should take care of your sister, you should take care of your family, and should be strong. So that's what I did, right? But it has been a very difficult life because with brain cancer, with brain tumor, apparently it affects like the senses. So at first, her sense of balance got affected. So she couldn't walk anymore. She was bedridden, and then at some point, her eyes got affected. So she became blind at some point. So all through these years as a teenager, I was exposed to that. I had to leave that. I had to change her pampers. I had to deal with that whole situation because there's no other choice. So I've been told like you have to be strong during this moment. So I had to for my whole family. My sister, this is the family picture we had, and that's my mom. Unfortunately, so she passed away when I was 15 years old. I was actually just next to her deathbed, and like I was holding her hand when I was told by my family, you have to say goodbye now, you have to be strong, right? This was me during those times. I was really like in a bad position, but I just had to be strong. I had to be composed. I think I shed a tear or two, but that's about it. Like, there was no time to actually grieve the whole situation. Um, Unfortunately, after 4 years, it was my father who had lung cancer. So I had to move together with my sister to Germany, and within 24 hours, like, we had to pack up everything, and there was no time to actually say goodbye to my friends, right? Again, here in this situation, Tanya, you have to be strong. That's the message of the Filipino culture. Um, yeah, so unfortunately, I had to say goodbye to my father as well. You know, when we build this armor, looking back, I had to build this armor, this like walls in front of me. So at first, as a kid or as a teenager, I was thinking like, okay, this is keeping me safe. This is protecting me. It is what it is, right? Like, I have to stay strong. But I also noticed, like, being the eldest sister, I'm also feeling very alone during that time. Like, all through this transition, I was very much alone. So slowly, I realized what it meant and how it affected me in my life. So I just wanted to ask you and let you think, because we all have our choices, right? Do you want to stay soft as a person? Or do you want to build these walls around you? Stay strong. I personally believe that staying soft is much more stronger, courageous, because you actually feel everything, right? Armor means safety, yes, but it also means isolation. You're not connected with people. You're just like strong, yes, but you're just in a corner. You don't feel everything. It feels numb. And softness is strength, in my opinion, and also protection. More about that later. How softness protects you. You set emotional boundaries without numbing yourself. I know throughout this talk, it's like questions might pop up in your mind like, Tanya, but wasn't it helpful for you to actually be strong during this time? Like, it was helpful, right? Yes, I admit it was really helpful at some point of my life. But I felt numb the whole time. Now, if you set emotional boundaries, you are aware of your emotions. You know how to handle your emotions. You know that softness will actually help you because, for example, somebody approaches you and is very harsh with their words, right? It's hurting you. How do you approach that situation? When you have softness within your heart, then you're like, aha, I'm very conscious about my emotions. Let's keep it calm. Let's deal with this situation with calmness, right? With softness. Not like, rawr, I'm going to have a fight with this person. So when you're much more conscious, you set emotional healthy boundaries for yourself. Secondly, you protect your authentic self. Having this armor is very tiring. I felt like I was in a survival mode for 24/7, right? So if you have an armor, but also you have softness within you, you can protect your authentic self because all of us have our values, have like what we believe in inside of us. And if we're just like surrounded by this big wall, it's not going to help us, right? Like we want to be true to ourselves. Softness helps us to be grounded in what we do. Number 3, it builds resilience through connection. One of my team members in HR, he was like, Tanya, I don't like the word resilience. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I respect that. What do you mean you don't like the word resilience? Yeah, because we're not robots, right? Like, we work in HR, but we're not robots. We have to feel, yeah. You know, I respect his opinion when it comes to the word resilience. I also have my personal opinion when it comes to resilience. And here, I'm talking about when you build this armor around you, then we're talking about being isolated. You don't have these connections. If you have softness within your life, then you build these connections. You build this, you know, like friends, deep connections, and it's not just like friends just to show up just like that for having friends, but like in times of rock bottom moments, crisis, you know you can depend on someone, right? Looking back when I was growing up, I realized like everyone was coming to me. Everyone was just coming to me with their problems. No wonder I ended up in HR. But like everyone was just coming to me, leaning on me, like Tanya, you're so strong, right? But also I felt super isolated because I wasn't really feeling what I'm feeling, whether it's grief, whether it's happiness. I lost that connection, right? Number 4, it anticipates conflict instead of escalating it. So in the workplace or in our daily lives, in your relationships, right? Or even with yourself, if you come up with a situation where you're in a conflict with someone, and this person is like full on beast mode, right? Like, now I'm gonna escalate this, blah, blah, blah. But then if you realize within yourself, like, okay, calm now. Let's deal with this in a calm situation. You're actually protecting yourself and you're avoiding this huge conflict. Now, avoiding conflict is not necessarily a bad thing. Well, it depends on like what the audience thinks. But what I really appreciate from softness is you stay grounded again, right? Like, you know how to deal with your emotions. You're not making a huge topic out of it. Because like if you have conflicts again and again, it's not healthy for your brain, it's not healthy for your body, right? Now, let's talk about work. So this is how work showed me walls. Again, like funny enough, I ended up being in HR because apparently I'm very approachable. That's like the feedback that I get. I've mentioned before, I have almost 9 years of experience in HR. I've worked in many different startup environments, and you know how startup environments are. You are always on mode, like always getting shit done, right? And then I worked also at IDEO where I was headhunted, and then this was one of the highlights of my career because it showed me human-centeredness. Thank you for the familiar faces that I see here. It really resonates to me being in an environment where it brings out the softness within me instead of the survival mode. So there, I actually had the opportunity to find the balance. I'm also not a fan of like a tree-hugging environment where you're like, okay, super nice. Everyone is just super nice. We're not hitting the ghost, but everyone is nice. So, yeah, we're not profitable, but everyone is nice, sure. So it's always about finding the good balance. Again, when I was exposed to work, different personalities, that's why I'm very personally proud of like the exposure that I have been given, and also like what I searched for myself, dealing with many different conflicts, many different complex personalities, and I've seen that a lot in the workplace. Like there's an example, like I dealt with leaders who, you know, or founders, they show that they're really strong, right? Like this famous founder post, like I'm strong, I have done this, I have dealt with this. But I realized that if you have emotional IQ, if you have empathy, if you have softness as a leader, that's where you actually deal with high-performing teams. I've noticed in the workplace, there was a situation where a leader was playing Big Girls Don't Cry non-stop on loudspeaker. And I was like, oh, we have to talk to this person. Anyway, hard workplaces hurt people, right? So I don't want to be in this talk and just tell you about like, yeah, I've observed this in my daily work life. This is what I experienced, but also it's backed by data, it's backed by science. We have many, many different examples out there. So the CCL studied 6,731 managers across 38 countries, and they found out that those rated as more empathetic by their teams were also rated by the superiors as high performing by 76%, by 76%. You understand how important it is to provide a workplace where, or environment, where there's empathy, where there's creativity, where there's trust in what you do. And this just ability to be your best, bring your best potential. This is one case. Another case is, who knows about the Uber situation, right? Like, can you say a few words about that?
I just read the news.
You just read the news,
Yeah.
right? That was like year 2017, the early days of Uber, right? They had Kalanick as a CEO. What made him so different? He was always on mode. Business excellence, yes. He wasn't sleeping, yes. People like that, investors like that. He was delivering, yes, 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 yes. He wasn't resting, yes. It inspired people around him to actually be like him, but it hurt people as well, right? Because when you're always in this on mode, always delivering, it creates this exhaustion, tiredness. People cannot deliver actually their best potential, maybe for some time, but not in a long term, right? So it affected the culture of Uber. There was no creativity, there was no empathy, bad reputation out there. Now, no one wants to work in such a situation, right? Such a work environment. So this is something I would like to mention here as an HR person, how it's really, really important to build an environment where there is empathy. Because even though you're talking about business excellence, you might meet those goals, yes, but your people are suffering. It is not success in the end. Yeah. Now, I just wanted to reflect again through all these things that I have talked on here. Again, you might think like, Tanya, but it's a world that requires us to be hard. It's a very harsh world. How do you deal with a harsh world if you're going to be soft, right? It's a choice. I don't judge people if you want to be that strong personality and have this image. It's on you. I also have huge respect to people who decide that for themselves. But for myself, like what I think and what I believe in is having this softness is actually putting me in a situation where I can live life. I care deeply about everyone who is around me, and it's helping me to be a more authentic person, right? I don't want to suffer in this world by having this armor around me and not having the connections around me. It's very exhausting. I have this request or wish for you. If you would like to do it, no pressure, of course. But I have here post-its in star. So if you would like to write for yourself like a reminder, because in our busy lives, we always tend to forget to be kind to ourselves, to be soft to ourselves. If you can just like write a message to yourself, okay, this is what I want to do for this week, for this month, for this year. And what helps me is actually putting the post-it on a mirror. So every morning I see it and I'm like, I am reminded that I should do this for myself, right? I leave it here. You can grab it after the talk and just write your message for yourself. For me personally, I consider myself as someone who has a very direct relationship with everyone in the team, in my workplace, within myself. So leading myself as well as a person, I choose softness, not fear, right? Like, I don't want to be labeled like, oh my God, why is she talking about this vulnerable, naive, and weak impression of being soft? No, I think that's what makes me actually special and unique. Yeah, so I leave it here. One message that I would like you to take away from this quick talk that I did was the armor we work so hard to build to survive, that we're chasing for. Like, I want that, I want that. I want to be this great image. I want to be this strong image. Maybe it is actually something that stops us from living our lives to the fullest. Softness isn't what breaks us. What breaks us is actually not being aware of our emotions, not feeling our emotions to the fullest. Softness is what brings us to life. And this is what I hope you have taken from this talk. Okay? Thank you so much. And